I think number one reason you should go vegan is because you love animals and you don't want to kill them for your own diet. And I'm going to expand on that. I think it goes beyond that because I ethically and morally, I have a different thoughts than most people on life, and the gardening and a lot of the meditation that I do gives me a unique perspective, I think, compared to most people about life, where, are you killing something when you catch a salmon and then eat it the same way that you're killing something when you grow a carrot out of your garden, rip it out of the earth and eat it?
Hey friends, welcome to episode 3 of the Plant-Based Diet Benefits Podcast. And let me tell you what, I am so incredibly excited about today's guest. Jake Mace, also known as the Vegan Athlete on YouTube, is going to join us today, and he was my initial inspiration to go plant-based. Everybody has that one person that really influenced them to make great decisions in their life, to incorporate more plants, to improve their health, and this is the guy for me. So it is an absolute honor to have him on the show. Be sure to check out our show notes at www.plantbaseddietbenefits.com/3, so that way you can follow along and reference some of the links that we refer to during the episode. But without further ado, let's start the show. Okay, so today we have Jake Mace on the show, and I'm extremely excited for Jake to be joining us. As I've talked about in episode 2 of the Plant-Based Diet Benefits Podcast, Jake has been such an influential mentor, informal mentor of mine, just by watching the way that he goes about living his life. And one video in particular, the top 10 reasons why I'm vegan, kind of set me on the course that I am on today. So Jake, thank you very much for being on the show today.
Trent, thank you for thinking of me and having me on. It's a pleasure.
So to get started, would you mind telling us a little bit about yourself? I know you are, of course, on YouTube. A lot of people know you as the Vegan Athlete. But if you don't mind, for those of us that aren't familiar, tell us a little bit about yourself and maybe what you're up to now.
Sure, and I want to apologize to your audience if my reception is not the best, but I'm kind of off grid right now a little bit, and I do have cell signal, but it's not the best, so I apologize if I'm kind of scratchy.
Yeah, no problem. So far, you sound great. So,
okay, thanks. Yeah, so my name is Jake Mace, and I guess my vegan biography is that I went vegan 18 years ago, and I was just a teenager. I was 19 years old, and that was before Facebook, before YouTube, before I think Google technically was around, but nobody really used it or knew what it was. And there wasn't any social media. And I went vegan because I was into the martial arts heavily, which I still am. And my masters in the martial arts, my teachers, my mentors, they were vegan. And I was not. And I didn't know what that was. And so here I am, a teenager. I'm a freshman at Arizona State University. And I was already into the martial arts very much. And you kind of sometimes do what the teacher does because you want to have more skills, you want to be healthier, sometimes you emulate the teacher like Mr. Miyagi and Daniel-san, you know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
And yeah, and so being an impressionable teenage guy, I didn't really know what vegan was, or I thought it was very weird. I thought it was weird, actually. I remember being involved in wrestling my whole life, and I would be sucking weight and cutting weight trying to make the weight class for an upcoming tournament. I'd be in the sauna sweating. I remember hearing women talking about vegetarianism, and I thought it was weird. They always seemed to be like weak and skinny and yellow and like kind of not clean looking. And I just was like, my martial art teachers are not that way. They're vegan, which is like full vegetarian, and they are actually very respectable. They're strong looking. They are cool. They're normal, and they eat a lot of food. So I'm like, maybe I'll try this. So I got a scholarship to study abroad in China with Duke University. And I went for my entire second year of Chinese in Beijing with Duke. And I said to myself, when I get back to the United States, I'll try going vegan for a month. And I did that, and I just kept doing it ever since. It's been 18 years now. I'm now 37 years old.
Yeah, that's awesome. And of course, I've heard your story before, which is, just inspiring. I hear a lot of people, kind of make lifestyle changes. It's really easy to do so, I think, when you're in like young adulthood like that. Right as you're starting college and things like that, you can step out on your own. But before we continue, I want to mention like two things, and I won't hold these against you at all, Jake, but I'm a University of Arizona fan. I was born down in Tucson. I'm a huge U of A basketball fan my whole life. My parents have season tickets. We go down to a lot of the games. So
this interview could be over right now.
Well, I'm just going to say, I won't hold it against you, but there's two teams that U of A fans don't really like, so to speak. And that's, of course, our rival, Arizona State University, and the team that beat us
and Duke
won national championship, Duke.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's okay. It's okay. It led you on the path that you're on now, which eventually made its way to, where you are.
Cool.
It's great.
And my only experience with Duke, I never even was in their part of the world. I was only with Duke in China. So I was with Chinese Duke. So it's not the same
thing. Yeah. So definitely I won't hold that part against you, but it's all good.
Okay, cool.
So what was it like, growing up before you decided to go, vegan? Like what type of, what did you eat? Like the standard American diet, that everybody else does? You eat a lot of fast food. Like what did you grow up on?
No, I would say that my parents were not the standard American diet. They were probably like the healthy end and the home cooked end of the American diet, where, I never really was, I can't remember really eating McDonald's ever. I remember eating, like, they would go to Dairy Queen and things like that. But I would say 90 some odd % of the time, my mom cooked meals at home. She always made the best lunches going to school. She's a really nice chef, and she would make really hearty lunches and dinners that would be centered around veg or casseroles or steak or chicken or fish and red wine and things like that. So we always have a wide array of vegetables and fruits and animal products. So I didn't think, we weren't like an unhealthy family. We were all athletic. My dad's pretty athletic. My mom's pretty athletic. My brother's pretty athletic. And we all kind of ate a very hearty, nutritious, nutrient-dense diet. But then when I went vegan, see, my brother is actually a picky eater, and I would eat everything. Like, I'm the guy who would go to the sushi place and eat all the stuff, the shark, the squid, the octopus, the fish eggs, everything. And I love all that. So when I went vegan, my mom and my brother thought it was weird. My sister didn't really think anything, but my mom really hated it. She might say different, but I'm here to tell you, she really went to war with me over it. She hated it because she thought it was culty and religious and weird, and that I would stop eating all her food. And she was kind of really offended. And so I got a lot of flack for a long time from my family, and I was the only one I knew outside of my martial arts, life that was vegan. So I kind of had 100% vegan experience according to my martial arts circle. We would go on trips together. We would go to China together. We would go to seminars together, and we all were just a bunch of people that like to spar and fight and learn culture and martial arts and eat vegan food. And that's what we did. So it was very much so a part of my martial arts training was the vegan diet until I was about maybe 27 years old, when I kind of stayed going vegan for my own reasons.
Gotcha. What was, that like? Because I know that's one of the fears I think that some people have if they were to switch to a plant-based diet is, right, it's like, how are we going to be perceived by our, closest friends,
and I would say
relatives?
Don't have that fear. Yeah, I'm sorry to interrupt you, Trent. I would say don't have that fear, because now my brother's vegan. My sister probably eats more vegan stuff than she ever would have otherwise. My mom carries soy milk in the fridge and brags about me as the vegan person out of all her friends. So you got to do what you think is right, especially if it's something that's morally right, like a vegan lifestyle.
Yeah, that's awesome. And that's kind of what I try to, tell people is just, live by example, right? And other people will start to see, the benefits that you're experiencing, and hopefully, make that choice for themselves down the road too.
I think that's true. If it's like, if you're into drugs or you're into like harmful cult that's, taking you away from the world. I think your family should step in and help you out. And maybe intervention is in order. But with a vegan diet and a vegan lifestyle, the goal for me is still to eat all the delicious, amazing foods, not to be, taken away from my family, but to just have this personal choice of fitness, health, and of course, a lot of empathy toward living beings like animals through my diet. And I don't think it's a bad thing. I think it's a really good thing. And that's why I've been doing it for almost 20 years.
Yeah, which is great. And I don't see myself stopping anytime soon either. I know, when people transition into a plant-based diet, it's a lot to take in. And I'm kind of curious how maybe your diet has transitioned over time. I know mine's changed over time. So I'm kind of curious, like when you first started out as a vegan, did you eat pretty much the same thing you do now, or was it, trying to mimic, the foods you used to eat first before you transitioned into what you eat now?
Yeah, that's a good question. It's changed. So I first went vegan, just cold turkey, and I did it just night and day. Like the last non-vegan meal I ate was when I was 19 on the plane coming back from China. I ate the steak or whatever it was on the way home, on the plane. So I went cold. I went just one day. I went full vegan, and I didn't really know what to do. There wasn't any Google you can look stuff up on, and I only knew what my friends and teachers were doing, and I would copy them. So even to this day, I think it's very healthy and very necessary to have friends who are vegan that can help you, do it successfully and healthily. And in the beginning, though, what I would do is we would just eat anything and everything as long as it was vegan, which usually included a lot of eating out and included a lot of packaged foods and included a lot of desserts, like a lot of shakes and desserts and a lot of junk food, as long as it was vegan. And that was okay for me because I'm working out 4 times a day. Like I'm teaching 3 hours of martial arts class, which is heavily into fitness and cardio. I was already like muscular, skinny physique to begin with. And then I would do my own workout. So I was just burning calories. So no matter what I ate, I never felt it. So it is possible to be vegan and be fat, or to be vegan and be unhealthy. But I never felt those things because I was such a high level of physical activity. But then I would say when I was about 27, 28, I started really getting more mentors in my life, teachers, whatever, who were into gardening. And I was always in awe of their backyard gardens and their fruit trees and their herb gardens and their ability to sprout in their kitchen, like sprouting seeds. And when I was about 29, I grew my own garden, and that's when my diet changed to being a lot less packaged foods, a lot more out of my garden, a lot more home cooked meals, and I would say a lot less of the vegan junk food. And now that I'm trying to do my life as a 37-year-old, I'm trying to exist totally off grid, not only with power, but also with food, and grow my own food 100%, and have a very healthy diet that lives off the land. That's my new goal.
Yeah, which is very, aspiring. Like that's going to, I know, take you guys a lot of work, and you're just starting out in that journey, but it'll be very exciting to watch you progress through that on YouTube, of course.
Sorry, right? My voice is kind of shaky, but I'm outside talking to you, and it's freezing out here. I'm huddled around the campfire, so if I'm a little bit of a shaky voice, this is because I'm in a 0-degree climate right now up in northern British Columbia.
Yeah, I knew it was cold outside. I was I've watched a few of your most recent videos, and I was kind of curious if you're going to be doing this from inside your van, so that way you had some heat, or if you're going to be outside. But
I may have to go in there, but we have a sunny day today, and the fire's going, so I'm trying to get out of the van because I'm getting a little cabin fever.
All right,
but
so
that's Trent. Not to keep talking, but that's one of the reasons why I started my YouTube channel called The Vegan Athlete. When I'm going to say it right here, I created that term, vegan athlete, and I'm not saying nobody else was using it, but when I made up that 2-word phrase, vegan athlete. I didn't know anybody else who was using that. And now if you Google search that, it's like got tens and hundreds of millions of hits. And at the time, I wanted to call myself something with my vegan videos that I was making for YouTube. I was making videos about vegan talks and then my gardening experience. And I was like, I want to be Jake Mace, but I want to hit home the vegan message to people that this is a really environmentally friendly, compassionate, and healthy way to live, but this vegan lifestyle. So let me call it vegan athlete, which is for most people going to be an oxymoron where they don't think of an athlete being vegan. But I'm here to tell you that that is very possible and actually becoming more and more the norm these days. Even I followed Tom Brady on Instagram, and he just put out a post saying that he's a plant-based athlete. He's not vegan fully, but he does like 80% vegan foods as his base. And I love that term vegan athlete because it really kind of embodies what I'm all about.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it like you said, a lot of people may see it as an oxymoron, but it's really not, and it's evidenced by all the different vegan athletes or bodybuilders and people like yourself who are very physically fit. Of course, diet plays a big role in it, but obviously you have to exercise and do other things to make sure that you get to perform as an athlete, so to speak.
Exactly. Like one of my heroes is Jack LaLanne. And I never got a chance to meet him before he died, but Jack LaLanne used to say, if you guys want to look him up, Jack, and then his last name is LaLanne. And Jack LaLanne used to say, diet is king, exercise is queen, and together you have a kingdom.
It makes perfect sense. You need to have both. It's a more holistic approach for sure.
Yeah, and right now what I'm actually doing is I'm around the campfire here, wearing vegan shoes, wearing a non-leather belt. I've got Craftsman's belt on that's just man-made materials, not leather, and I'm eating a lunch that I made in my cast iron Dutch oven on the fire that is chickpeas, garbanzo beans with potatoes, carrots, onions, spices, and a field roast brand hot dog that has 25 grams of protein with it. Sriracha sauce all over it. So.
Yeah, and I know you're a fan of the field roast. One of my next questions was going to be about like what type of food you eat now. If you had to do one of those, and I don't think you do these, but the what I eat in a day videos, like what do you strive to eat on a daily basis to give yourself the fuel you need?
Yeah, actually, if you go on YouTube, and I've done quite a few of those, and one in particular I did about a year ago, almost has 1 million views. My most popular video on my channel. Just look for Jake Mace, what I eat in a day on YouTube. And then what I would say is I do like the Field Roast company, but really all they are is seitan. So I would say, you don't need to buy it. You can make it yourself. Go learn how to make seitan. It's basically just making a bread loaf out of wheat gluten, which is the protein from wheat. So if you made a loaf of bread out of wheat flour, they have a flour also called wheat gluten, and the gluten is so high in protein, you make a loaf of that and spice it up with some pepper and oil and different seasonings, and then you can steam it or bake it, and it becomes like meat, and it's very good, like a meatloaf. It's really awesome.
Yeah, and I know I've cooked that myself at home. It doesn't take too long to do either, which is kind of nice.
Yeah.
It's obviously easier just to buy the stuff from the store, but that's usually the case with any sort of packaged items.
Sure. So I would say today in my life, I wake up. I love cereal. I do usually almond or soy milk. I love soy, and I don't care what anybody says about avoiding soy. I do a lot of soy because it's so full of protein. It's just beans. I mean, I grow them in my garden. They're really healthy, and the Chinese people have been doing tofu for thousands and thousands of years. And they're skinny and healthy AF, you know what I mean? So I wake up, I love soy milk with some cereal, usually like a muesli type cereal with all the almonds and cornflakes and oats and raisins in it. And then I'll do some like mango juice or some fruit with that, like apple, orange juice. And then for lunch, like I'm doing today, I just read you the garbanzo beans with a field roast, lots of spices, potatoes. And then for dinner, maybe like a Mexican food kind of thing where I do burritos with guacamole and pico de gallo and refried beans that are vegetarian refried beans. There's some black beans in there and some cilantro and some lime juice and tortillas. So, yeah.
Hey, you're making me hungry, Jake. That's for sure. So I ate lunch like 2 hours ago, but I'm still getting hungry here.
Well, you should come out here to our new place, Blackfish Hollow, and we'll feed you.
Yeah, I think it'd be really cool to make a trip out there. Just judging by your most recent videos, it looks absolutely just stunning. So very excited for you guys to make or call that place your home, right?
Yeah.
So
well, thank you.
I know, like I mentioned earlier, you've made like a top 10 reasons why I'm vegan type of video, but what are, if you were just to say one or two of like the key benefits, if you were speaking to somebody who's never even thought about doing a plant-based diet before, like what are some of the key benefits you'd point out that would help convince them that it would be a good approach for them?
Well, number one, the reason why I went vegan was because I was looking to be more healthy. Not that I wasn't already healthy. But I don't think that's the main reason you should go vegan, because you can be an unhealthy vegan. I think number one reason you should go vegan is because you love animals and you don't want to kill them for your own diet. And I'm going to expand on that. I think it goes beyond that, because I ethically and morally, I have different thoughts than most people on life, and the gardening and a lot of the meditation that I do gives me a unique perspective, I think, compared to most people about life, where, are you killing something when you catch a salmon and then eat it the same way that you're killing something when you grow a carrot out of your garden, rip it out of the earth and eat it? So lately on my Vegan Athlete channel, I've been trying to battle this question where, are you part of the great circle of life? Does anything actually live or die, or is everything just part of the great circle? Now, what I think is not part of the great circle, as a vegan guy talking, what definitely is not part of the great circle is the very few companies who are in charge of most of the food that we eat in the animal agricultural realm, So if you're buying meat products or dairy products or egg products or fish products from the store, you are supporting huge companies that have tons of power that do not have your health in their interest at all. And they also are some of the most abusive industries in the world toward living beings like cows, pigs, chickens, fish, and the like. So if you're going to eat meat, this is coming from a strong martial arts vegan athlete guy. If you're going to eat meat, get off your butt and go catch it yourself, because at least be a real carnivore where you're going to go out and fish for your own food for your family. You're going to go out and hunt for your own food for your family. And then you're going to grow your own herbs and veggies, because I really think it's pretty, I want to choose my words carefully here, Trent. I think it's kind of like a yellow belly who goes out and buys the packaged meat to feed to his family or to her family, because you didn't have any relationship to that food. At least when you buy broccoli off the shelves at the grocery store, it's still broccoli. When you buy chicken from the store, they have cut it up, processed it, and packaged it in a way to disassociate it from the animal that it was. So if you're going to be eating meat, please go out and raise it or hunt it yourself, because then at least you deserve to eat it. So number one reason is the ethics of animals. I would say definitely you go vegan because you care about living beings. You care about dogs. You care about cats. You care about pigs, chickens, cows. They're all living just like us. Number two, I would say you go vegan because of health benefits, because it's gonna clog your arteries less. It's going to give you less cancer. It's going to give you less less chances of getting heart disease or any kind of cardiovascular disease. It's going to give you less tumor growth. There's so many studies by well-known peer-reviewed studies that talk about the vegan diet being at the center of a human being who has virtually no chance of getting cancer, heart disease, or diabetes. And actually they show that how a vegan diet actually can cure most people from those diseases without surgery or without drugs. I would say another reason to go vegan would be because it allows you to live your best life now. I mean, I feel really good all the time. The fact that my organs are clean and detoxed because my vegan diet is able to give me the healthiest body at this point possible. I think if you're eating all this animal products that's been packaged and put in stuff, if you're going to fast food restaurants and eating fast food burgers, you're definitely clogging up your organs and you're going to feel lethargic and you're going to feel slow and you're going to feel old, even though you're not. So if you want to feel clean, if you want to have great sex, if you want to have a clear mind, if you want to function great every day, if you care about dogs and cats, if you want to be healthy, those are some good initial reasons to try the vegan lifestyle for at least a month.
Yeah, that's perfect. That's exactly what convinced me a little over 3 years ago. My wife and I sat down and I told her about listening to that video of yours. And I'm like, I can't argue with the points that he's making. The same exact points that you just brought up. And I'm like, you know what? And this was in December. And I'm like, you know what? Let's in January, like after the holidays, I didn't want to stir up any emotion there. Right. And
sure.
I said, January 1st, let's just try to eat only plants for the month of January and see how it goes. And so we were a cold turkey type of transition as well. And we haven't looked back. We enjoyed it so much.
People like you, I think, are just like me and you who did it cold turkey, but a lot of folks are doing meatless Mondays where they have every Monday as a vegan day. I think that the editor of the New York Times, he lost a ton of weight. He was very much obese and he used the vegan diet to lose weight. And what he did is he did vegan until dinner for like months and months and months. And he just would be vegan until dinner time, and dinner he'd eat whatever he wants. So there's other ways to get into it besides just going to cold turkey, even though that's what we did.
Exactly. And I think that's what a lot of people offer as advice, right? Is to kind of slowly get accustomed to the diet and see what kind of benefits it has. Because like breakfast is a really easy one to make vegan. Lunch is pretty easy because you could usually customize it on your own, like if you bring your own lunch to work or whatnot. And the dinner is usually the hard one, especially if you have kids.
Yeah.
So I know you're out remote location. You don't have a full kitchen or anything like that. But if you can bring yourself back to when you have a full kitchen and all these different, gadgets and things like that. I know for me personally, like my Vitamix blender, I can't live without it. Has there been any appliances in your kitchen that are just must-haves that you think most people wouldn't have unless if they are on a vegan diet?
Yeah, I have a Vitamix as well, even though I'm not using it right now because I'm building a home from scratch off the grid here on 8 acres and recording it for my Vegan Athlete channel. But I love my Vitamix, and I also have Omega juicers. I have 2 Omega juicers. That company is fantastic. One's the Omega Vert and one's the Omega, I don't know the model number offhand, but go to any Omega brand juicer is top of the line, amazing. We have an Excalibur dehydrator, which is also, I think it's a partner or a sister company to Omega, but the Excalibur dehydrator, it's like an oven and you pull the trays in and out. You can dehydrate your own things. So those are 2 gadgets I love. I also love just my pans. Like I have right now only 3. My kitchen consists of 3 pans. They're all cast iron, 2 different sizes of cast iron skillet, and a cast iron Dutch oven, which I'm going to be featuring more and more in my YouTube videos here coming up. And we've been cooking right on the fire directly lately. And then a good knife. I would say get a good knife. Find out what the local chefs are using in your area and to get the knife that they use and keep a sharpener in hand. Always keep it nice and sharp because there's nothing better than having this like $100 or $200 knife that is like an heirloom you can pass down to your kids. Some of you may go out partying. doing drugs, whatever for your money, I buy a good knife. You know what I'm saying? And
knife
I love it.
is critical.
Critical. And then you can slice your tomatoes nice. It's just fun to cook when you've got, a good knife, a good cutting board. I had a friend of mine named Brian in Arizona, one of my Kung Fu students and friends, and he made me a custom cutting board that I still use to this day. It's fantastic. It's nice and big, solid. It's got rainbow wood colors in it, and it's just a great cutting board for murdering all those vegetables on it.
Excellent. Thank you for sharing that, because I know a lot of people. I'm anticipating, this podcast is going to be to help inspire people to switch to a plant-based diet, and I think one of the things that people get concerned about is spending more time in the kitchen, and things like the Vitamix. Juicers are great if you're wanting to go down that road. I know not everybody does juicing, but I have a juicer as well. And then if you have a garden, I think that dehydrator is great. How's
the garden growing in Arizona?
Well, I'm actually we sold our house. Because we have 3 kids now. We were living in a 3-bedroom home, but we have a 4th kiddo on the way. And
congratulations!
Thank you. So we're selling. We sold our house. I'm actually living with my parents right now while we search for something a little bit bigger. And I know one of your old friends. I'm sure you still keep in touch with Brandon and Alyssa, where they install raised beds out here. With Greenie's Garden, right? So they actually came by. We have some raised beds that just got installed over at my parents' place. So we're gonna start growing some crop here. So I'm excited about that with the spring, kind of season, warming up. So it'll be good. But yeah, with somebody like yourself who does a lot of gardening, obviously, but anybody that does gardening, I think that the dehydrator really comes in handy there. In order to kind of preserve some of your foods too.
And I would say one tip for people out there to go check out right now, my favorite vegan YouTube channel that you should definitely check out. Of course, Vegan Athlete. But then, when you're done doing that and watching all the videos there, it's called Peaceful Cuisine. It's the best YouTube channel, I think, for food and best one for vegan people, Peaceful Cuisine, because it plays off this thing called ASMR. Have you heard of this? ASMR?
I have not.
So it's kind of like sensory stimulation through sounds and imagery, right? ASMR is an acronym. And this guy cooks food kind of and films it in a way that kind of simulates your senses. So if you go to Peaceful Cuisine, a lot of videos are all like millions of views, and there's no talking. He just cooks the food, has great camera angles, and you get all the sounds of the cutting and the food being cooked and the processing, and it's really amazing. And every dish is vegan. He just doesn't push vegan on you, but just every dish is vegan, whether it's a pie or coffee or making a boba tea or whatever.
That's awesome. I'll definitely check it out.
And that guy do it, and that guy turned me on to something that I would also suggest to your audience, which is a lot of my friends who are vegan, but also a lot of my friends who are not vegan, have low amounts of iron in their blood. They're like anemic. And I would say in today's day and age, for some reason, people are not getting what they need in their diet. So the Peaceful Cuisine guy had a thing in one of his videos that I got and I use. It's called the iron egg. And it's a little egg, and it looks like it's just a big giant, basically just like a big giant bullet, but it's 100% made of iron. And if you're making a soup or a stew or you're cooking something, you can drop this iron egg in your pot, and very small trace amounts of iron get in the food as you're cooking it, and it will remineralize your food. So it's a great thing that I think you guys check out.
That's very interesting. And I know women in particular need a little bit more iron as well. So if you're having issues getting iron on your diet, then that's great. I'll have to look into that. So I'm going to transition now. Jake, I want to let our listeners learn a little bit more about what you are doing. Obviously, you have the YouTube channel, The Vegan Athlete. where you documented your entire garden journey when you lived back in Arizona, which is where I'm at. And I, of course, had the pleasure of touring your garden there. You did a fantastic job, obviously. But now you're going to start sharing your journey of a new garden that you're building. So if you want, you can maybe give a little bit of an overview of what you guys have up your sleeve now.
Yeah, you said it just like that. I mean, if you are interested in seeing a young couple live off the grid and try to make it in a wilderness setting with the ocean a 2-minute walk away, a lake behind us, a river that runs through the property, that's what we're doing. We're sitting on 8 acres out here in British Columbian rainforest called the Great Bear Rainforest in the southern tip of that. And we have cougars and wolves and bears all around us. We're a hot spot for that kind of life, but they're all still kind of sleeping at the moment for the next 2 weeks. So it's our job over the next 2 or 3 weeks to get our yurt up. And then after the yurt's up, we're going to start building a cob house out of mud, basically a mud house. And along the way, show you guys our vegan meals and all the other things we're doing to live off the land, including having a boat now, because this is a boat access only property. You can't get to it with a car. The car that we have over here, we had to actually ship across on a barge. And it's very rainy here, over 60 inches of rain a year. So it really is a rainforest. And the channel coming up will be full of mushroom foraging, seaweed foraging, possibly branching out from the vegan lifestyle for the first time in 18 years and looking into what's it called, clams, oysters, mussels, ocean life, whale watching, and the like. So it's going to be a fully functional off-grid couple living their life and showing bits and pieces of it on YouTube. So check it out.
Okay. Let's just hold up right there for a second. This is Trent, and I've come back while editing this interview and want to touch base on something before I press the play button again for you guys and have Jake continue on with what he was saying. Because for those of you that may know Jake really well, I think you may be a little bit surprised by something that he just said. And I don't want I guess for lack of a better word, the vegan police to come out and start hating on my man Jake Mace. So he mentioned, of course, the fact that he's going to be living off grid, right? Which is very difficult to do. It's not like you have easy access to all the food and all the great, fruits, vegetables, greens, legumes, all that kind of stuff that maybe you would have back when he lived in Oregon or Tempe, Arizona, wherever the case may be. So he is doing what he thinks is best, right, by living off grid. And one of the things that is going to help him on that is by being able to live off of the land and the resources that he has available to him. So I'm not sure if he's actually ventured off into non-vegan foods, like the clams and mussels and things like that he mentioned. But one thing I want to mention here before he kind of picks back up during the interview is that all of us choose where on the diet spectrum we would like to live and where we feel comfortable. There is the very unhealthy side of the spectrum, and then there's the extremely healthy side of the spectrum, and that extremely healthy side of the spectrum isn't necessarily the best place for everybody. Sometimes you have to have give and take, where maybe convenience overrules that health, or some circumstances are outside of your control. And that's something that I think is really important for everybody who's listening right now, is that you don't have to be on these polar ends of the spectrum. You get to pick where you want to be. Maybe you aren't 100% plant-based, but 90% of the calories you eat are coming from plants. I think that's awesome. And I think that you should be applauded for that. And I think you're doing a great thing for your health and for our planet. One of the things that just really gets me is when our community, the plant-based community, kind of shuns people for having a piece of fish every week instead of being 100% plant-based. I think some of the doctors that are out there even that, recommend having, 4 ounces of fish every week or something like that don't get the support that maybe they should from the plant-based community, because I think they're doing great things and great work out there. And, the same could just be said for any of you guys who are listening. Like, don't let other people influence where you're at on the spectrum of health. It's your choice. If you want to consume a little bit of animal products, then that's what you can choose to do. There are times where I'm not eating 100% plant-based just because of accident. If I accidentally buy something from the store that has animal-based products in it, I'm not going to necessarily let it go to waste. I need to still eat, right? So, there's times where food slips in, and you could also make the conscious choice to eat something that's not plant-based. And I just don't want people to feel like they're a failure, because that's the way a lot of people do feel sometimes if they aren't 100% plant-based. So yeah, I'm starting to ramble a little bit, but I want to jump in before people start, getting upset at Jake here. He's a great supporter of the plant-based community, and I anticipate once he gets his orchard and garden really going, I don't anticipate him using the animal-based resources quite as much. But, when you're living off grid, sometimes you just need to get the energy to live on, right? So I'm going to go ahead and press play again. Let's listen to the rest of the episode, guys. Thanks.
And y'all on Vegan Athlete, but again, I'll tell you here, Trent, I might change the name coming up to the Off-Grid Athlete or Jake Mace Off-Grid, but the channel is there right now at the Vegan Athlete.
Okay, excellent. And of course, I'll be linking to your website, www.learnfromjake.com, and then also I'll link to your channels on YouTube. So I believe those links will probably carry forward, so that way people could always find you.
And I got to tell you, I really appreciate that. And the way that we make money out here is, we don't make that much off YouTube ads. The Vegan Athlete channel doesn't make that much money at all. People think that there's a lot of money in YouTube, but there is if you're one of the top 10 YouTubers, but there's not a lot of money in it. So we're trying to be completely crowd funded. So if you are watching the videos and you enjoy them, maybe think about going on our Patreon and becoming a member of our Patreon. For even if it's just for $5, every little bit helps, and we put that money back into the show and into supplies and what we do here, so we can keep the videos coming. And I want to say thanks for the 20 people that joined this week, our patrons. So we are really taken back by people that support us. So
yeah, I'll absolutely take a look. I was actually, before we started up this interview, I was looking at your Patreon page, and I think the extra benefits, right, of donating more. I was basically just torn between how much I was going to provide to you guys. So look for, I don't know if you get an email notification or whatever every time, but I'm sure you'll see one from Trent Lindsey coming up soon.
That's so sweet of you, Trent. I really appreciate it. And we're going to hopefully have a lot more special content just for our patrons, including live videos. We're trying to break away once a week or once every 10 days to go to a nearby town. It's about a 45-minute journey and get Wi-Fi overnight so we can do a live video for our patrons and give them early access to our YouTube videos before they go live and things like that. And then eventually we're going to have the patrons, we're probably going to have a pool that we'll draw names at random to host people if they ever want to come out and spend a few days or a week with us out here and at Blackfish Hollow. Check it out once we have some infrastructure up for hosting guests.
It sounds like a lot of fun. I think that was what was convincing me to possibly put in. I can't remember what you guys called it. I think it was like the happiness level, right? Where you can possibly get drawn to go out there. I think it'd be a lot of fun to spend some time. I think I heard in some of your other videos, possibly, are you looking to possibly have like retreats out there one day.
I would love to do that, whether it's yoga, whether it's martial arts, whether it's gardening, whether it's just overall wellness, or just like doing a retreat that'd be like a fast from the city. We'd love to organize these in the future. Yeah, but first we have to survive. We have to actually, like literally, I'm living in a van with all the yurt in pieces wrapped in tarps so they don't get rotted. And I'm looking at this carport, 30-foot long, 12-foot wide industrial carport that I brought up here that I'm putting together for rain protection. And I get that done today. And once that's up, then I start on the yurts and videoing the whole process. So the property is so raw, we literally have to hike and trek into it and clear space for everything because it's completely a forest with multiple zones and full of thousands of trees. So it's quite a journey up here, but it's freaking beautiful, I got to tell you. So
yeah, and I know you guys have the work ethic to get it done too, which is really, obviously a key component. So I'm excited to watch your guys' journey along the way. And hopefully when I get my next place, it won't be off grid like you guys. I just don't know if I can handle that with 4 kids, but definitely incorporating some garden back into the house. I know the place we just sold, for example, had like a peach tree and mulberry trees and things like that. And the kids, since we went by the house the other day, and there's all these mulberry fruits on the tree, but of course they aren't ripe. And it was like such a big tease for the kids that that they see all these mulberries growing on the tree, but we aren't going to be able to have them. So they almost demanded that we have some mulberry trees and peach trees in our next place. So
I would say if you're in the desert, 2 things you should grow is a date palm, a female fruiting date palm, and mulberry trees. Female fruiting mulberries. We get those 2 things.
Yeah. The date palm is something I haven't done yet, but I was thinking about that in the next place too, because I love dates, so it makes a lot of sense.
For sure. And that's what we hope people get from our videos, is that they learn a little bit about gardening, even if they don't go off the grid fully like us. They might learn a little bit about gardening, some food, lifestyle, and be inspired to go and do something incredible with their lives as well. So hopefully they're getting that from our video.
Yeah, exactly. And even just a little bit of gardening, when you garden it from your own yard and you're picking it when it's perfectly ripe, there's just so much more nutrition in it. So even if you don't eat a plant-based diet fully, if you're eating a lot of veggies from your garden, then you're just getting a whole lot more nutrition than the stuff that you'd be getting in the produce aisle at the store. So, all right, Jake. Well, it's been a pleasure having you on the show. Thank you very much for your time. Obviously, I'll include links in the show notes to all of the work that you are doing, and I'm sure the listeners have really appreciated hearing a little bit more about your story and what you guys have coming up.
Well, thank you for putting this show together, and can't wait to hear a lot of your upcoming shows and guests. So keep this vegan message going. Thank you.
All right, guys, I'll tell you what, that was just awesome. Jake Mace is an absolutely great man, and it was such an honor having him on the show. Thank you guys for listening to the episode today. It truly has been my pleasure starting up this podcast for you guys, and I hope that you subscribe to our podcast. Of course, check out our show notes at www.plantbaseddietbenefits.com/3. That's /3 for episode 3. And please head out there to Patreon to support Jake and Nicole on their journey as well. I'll of course provide a link out on the show notes for how to check out their website. I am a patron myself. After recording this episode, it was one of the first things I did. So now that we are in edit, I can officially say I'm a patron, and I've really enjoyed some of the private content that they show to the patrons. So it's definitely worthwhile. Go out and support Jake and Nicole. They are great people, and I'll leave that as my one takeaway. Go out and support these people. They've really impacted the lives of so many people, and for years they've done it for free. And I think that it's about time that they start getting some support financially as well on their journey to live off the grid. And it's well worth it. Their episodes on YouTube is pretty much like watching a reality TV show. And, it's a great way to support what they're doing and get some entertainment while you're at it. Thank you guys for listening, and I will see you guys in episode 4.